early 40s who was dying. And it didn't feel like something I had much control over. And the more I wrote, the kind of closer I found myself getting to things that my family experienced. But I think it's also, it's tricky because it is fiction, and I think it's slightly less autobiographical than perhaps people have made it out to be. I think you infuse so much of your writing with your life, but I definitely was resistant and reluctant to make it. And actually, Leah and her daughter Iris, the fictional, mother and daughter in the book, ended up protecting me from revisiting my experiences losing my mum early. So I'm incredibly grateful to them for being completely who they are, and having their own journey, and having so much to they are, and having their own journey, and having so much to teach me about my mother's death. It's not like I never saw it as the linear sort of cause and effect of me, like here I am writing about my mum. It was very much something that I kind of resurfaced from and thought, God, yeah, there was a lot that I worked out and worked through. But it's still very much its own thing in a work of fiction, really.
So do you think that it's the emotional authenticity that's autobiographical rather than the actual narrative?
Yes, exactly, completely.
Make a left turn on Derby.
You've approached a difficult topic in that you're dealing with cancer, but also mothers and daughters fraught. I lost my father when I was 15, and I think that kind of caused me to deify him for quite a bit of my life. I'm not sure if the same thing happens with a mother, because it is a very different relationship, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think I'd probably say the same thing. It's that kind of strange gift in some ways that they're kind of preserved forever as this untouchable idea that you can romanticize and kind of remain on this pedestal. They become these sort of guardian angels and these great kind of moral compasses for whenever you're struggling with something. I find myself, they do. It's exactly as you said. They sort of replace godlike figure, the godlike figure in your life if you are an atheist, which I sort of
yes, which I suspect too.
Never quite sure.
Tell me a bit about your mum. I remember reading when she passed your column, which you were at the age of 14 when you wrote it, which is an extraordinary thing to be able to do. Was writing just something that came naturally to you from very early on?
Yes. It was a kind of huge part of my relationship with my mum. She was a writer and a documentary maker earlier in her life, and we were sort of encouraged as kids to write, and I just did ferociously, and was constantly kind of coming back with short stories from school that I was doing instead of actual school work, and it was not books and stories and poetry and whatever. It was very much kind of the beating heart of our home, and it was something that she really encouraged me to do. So I kind of it feels very tied in with the kind of atmosphere of our childhood and the kind of methods and the tools of coping with various different things that she's very much passed on.
You read her diaries after she passed away. Tell me about what you found in them, particularly a sort of message from beyond the grave.
Oh God, yeah.
It sounds like a bad Agatha Christie.
Yeah, it does. It really does. God. She wrote. She was a ferocious writer too, and she wrote these diaries. We have these kind of this insane catalogue of her life, pretty much from the age of about 15, which I sort of consumed after she died. And my sister and my dad haven't really touched them in quite the same way. And I had a surreal moment. I think before I started writing the book, where I was reading all the earlier diaries. I must have been in the diaries at about 9 years old, maybe a bit younger. And Mum had just was about to have her first novel published, and she was thinking about her readership and the fact that she never had to think about anyone reading her writing, because the only real writing she'd done throughout her life was these, the writing of these diaries. And she was like, I've never had to think about a reader, or any kind of readership or anyone reading these except, Maddie, if you are reading this, which I'm sure you are at some point, I hope you're enjoying them. And it was a little too weird for me, but it was like this mad kind of breaking of the fourth wall of her just knowing my character well enough to know that if anything ever happened to her, I'd be right in, no respect for my privacy whatsoever.
And just finally, is it true that one of your first attempts at novel writing, I have to say the one that you completed, which I was reading about in a review, sounded actually really good, so maybe you should think about publishing that sometime. But your first sort of attempt at novel writing was a sort of sexy version of Harry Potter, in a way, Hermione Granger and Draco Malfoy getting it on, inspired by the sexy poetry by E.E. Cummings found on your parents' bookshelf.
I'm not sure the two were inspired. They were two separate events, but I definitely, at very, very young age, Harry Potter was the first of the books that I read and loved as a young child, and somehow it obviously inspired me to write my own fan fiction very young, and would do lots of and there were lots of sort of Hermione and Draco Malfoy related scenes, because obviously I fancied Draco Malfoy a lot since I read books. So obviously you didn't, and that was definitely the start of my writing career, and who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought? And as I said just finally, I've done this so much today, but it's just something else that I want to know. I mean, you've written this book, and in a way, it must feel like some sort of closure, no matter how kind of much you strayed from the autobiography of it. Do you feel unleashed now to enter a whole different sort of topic, subject matter kind of writing next up?
Absolutely, I do. I'm kind of a big believer that a book is sort of no use to its author once it's done, once it's out of the world, it kind of belongs to readers, and I find it moving and incredibly freeing, as you say, to know that Liam and her family and all of those creations that have been in my world and sort of bubbling around me can now go and bubble around others, and I can immerse myself in something entirely different, which I am, and I'm loving writing my second book, and so it's all, as you say, it's been an incredible kind of freeing experience that does very much feel like its own form of closure.
Well, fingers crossed for the award, and I can't wait to read what you write next. That was Maddie Mortimer, shortlisted for the Sunday Times Charlotte Aiken Young Writer of the Year Award for her debut novel, Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies, and a spectacular book it is too. And for more of my interviews, check out the podcast, Mariella Meets. It's all fascinating people reflecting on their lives and careers, as well as the issues of today. It includes the likes of everything now, Bret Easton Ellis, Mark Rylance, and Daisy Edgar Jones. You can find it on the free Times Radio app. Coming up, we're going to be on the ground in Nigeria ahead of the nation's general elections. That's after the news and sport. Here's Jeremy Lieber with the headlines.
Across the UK, on DAB, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Times Radio. Thanks, Mariella. Good afternoon. Nicola Sturgeon has stood down as the First Minister of Scotland after 8 years, saying the time is right for her, her party, and the country.
If the only question was, can I battle on for another few months, then the answer is yes, of course I can. But if the question is, can I give this job everything it demands and deserves for another year, let alone for the remainder of this parliamentary term, give it every ounce of energy that it needs, the answer, honestly, is different.
In her resignation speech, she said her decision was not a reaction to short-term pressures. It came from a place of duty and love. Ms Sturgeon will stay on in her role until a new SNP leader is elected. Meanwhile, her political opponents and allies have been paying tribute to her long record of public service. Douglas Ross, leader of the Scottish Conservative Party, said political leadership takes a toll, while the Scottish Greens have called her the most significant political figure of the devolution era. In other news this afternoon, a teenage boy and girl, both aged 15, have been remanded in custody following the murder of transgender schoolgirl Brianna Jai. The 16-year-old was fatally attacked in a park in Warrington in Cheshire on Saturday. An assault described as describes him as a visionary whose creative universes expand from music to art and to fashion. This afternoon we'll see a band of rain sweeping eastwards, weakening as it does so. The southeast will remain bright, but the far north and northwest will see blustery showers. Time for a look at the sport now, and here's Kate Reeves.
It's reported Iranian-American billionaire John Najafi is set to launch a bid to buy Tottenham Hotspur. Najafi is the chair of US-based sports investment firm MSP Sports Capital, who already invest in teams in Germany, Portugal, Spain and Belgium. The fee, reported by the Financial Times, is understood to be £3.75 billion, a figure which former Crystal Palace owner Simon Jordan feels would interest Spurs owner Joe Lewis and chairman Daniel Levy.
Knowing Daniel as I do, that if someone comes knocking on his door with that price, he'll want to push it further forward and push it up. But for the last 10 years, the lights throwing out valuations of football clubs, no one's ever bought one. And those valuations, it's always been this potential. Now we're really beginning to see the maturing of the investment industries there in football that will do for me. Because we haven't scratched the surface yet. We haven't really been guessed of how big broadcasting and influences football clubs can be.
Tiger Woods says he has to be realistic about how many golf tournaments he can compete in. Genesis Invitational. The 15-time major winner hasn't played event on the PGA Tour since last summer. Woods suffered severe leg injuries in a car crash in February 2021 and admits he's unable to complete a full schedule.
I've had an incredible support staff and people that have helped me get to this point. It's been hard physically, as we all know, but I'm not going to be playing full schedule, so I got to pick and choose my events and how many events I'm going to play. And I alluded to last year, it's going to be probably the majors and maybe a couple more. Would I like to play more? Yes. Will it allow me to? I don't know.
And Wales Rugby Union players could go on strike over a freeze on new contracts in their domestic game. It's understood possible action might be discussed ahead of their Six Nations match with England a week on Saturday. An agreement between 4 professional regions and the WRU is yet to be confirmed, leading to uncertainty for players and their families. You can get more on this story by clicking on the Times website and app.
This is Times Radio.
Being a private landlord isn't easy. Thing is, even though you've done all the right checks, sometimes life can deal you a tenant a bad hand, leaving them unable to pay rent and you worrying everything will fall down like a house of cards. Adding Direct Line's rent guarantee when you take out your landlord policy is like having an ace up your sleeve, covering you for unpaid rent and legal fees until they move out. Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance to find out more. Clear money.
Purchase as part of legal expenses add-on. Eviction notice must have been correctly served before a claim. Restricted claims for existing tenants in the first 90 days after purchase.
Mariella Frostrom on Times Radio.
It is Mariella Frostrom on Times Radio. Very nice to have you company with me this afternoon. In a moment, we're going to be on the ground in Nigeria, hearing about the upcoming elections and the relationship of the military to those upcoming. And to end the show, yes, she's back, the Queen of Fashion, Anna Murphy, and I will be chewing the fat over this week's sartorial choices. There's also lots to come on Times Radio later this afternoon. Chloe Tilley and Callum MacDonald are sitting in for Jane and Fee from 2 p.m. They're going to be talking to the director, Shekhar Kapoor, about his new film, What's Love Got to Do With It? And it's Drive with John Pienaar from 5 p.m, including the 6 o'clock briefing, which is your comprehensive roundup of all the day's biggest stories in just a record 15 minutes. Henry Bonsu from 8 p.m. will take a sneak peek at what's in tomorrow's Times, and from 10 p.m, Carol Walker and guests take a first look at the rest of the newspaper front pages. So many compelling reasons to keep it tuned to Times Radio. And time now to head overseas.
On the ground, bringing you stories from every corner of the globe on Times Radio.
Yes, now on Times Radio, we're on the ground where we speak to correspondents around the world about the big stories making headlines in their patch. And today we're in Nigeria. Richard Asherton is the Times correspondent there. Richard, the Nigerian general elections are fast approaching. I think in just about 10 days it's going to be the world's first big election of the year. And that sounds like we're ranking them like football matches, but nevertheless. What can you tell us about, it's sounding even more and more like a sport, what can you tell us about the front runner, Peter Obi?
Well, I'm going to count for the third, but that's years ago, and he acted that way with that, took up with the link to basically
Interesting, you say red buying. I think corruption is one of the biggest issues, isn't it? What sort of ticket are these politicians going to the public with? People in Nigeria care about it, but it's very difficult. Huge country. It sounds like he is, dare I say, walking the walk in a way, though, when he talks about tackling anti-corruption and so on. And I think he's attempting to sort of invert the kind of sense of the ruler with the dark glasses. Well, I've just had 3 calls, one after the other, about it. What do you want me to do? Dictate to you what we talk about instead? So why is that trans woman now in a male jail? Outrage? There was a decision, wasn't there, about it? But a woman can't be a rapist. Because you need... No, they can't. Well, do you know, funnily enough, I did last week about this. Only a man can commit rape. Women can commit sexual assaults, but only a man can commit rape. So, I think we'll leave it there, Stuart, because seriously, by constantly going, you, not me, you constantly going over those cases, the programme is becoming all about that issue. Never my intention. I was never going to ignore that issue as part of the discussion about Nicola Sturgeon, but it was certainly never my intention. Because do you know what I think? I think families in Scotland trying to make ends meet, families in Scotland with sick children, families in Scotland who have a drug addict in their family who's maybe struggling to get better, they probably want to talk about anything but. They probably want to talk about the government's performance in those issues, or in education. Do their kids have the right school to go to? I've reflected on that, and I've invited calls on that as well. So please feel free to continue to give them. But what I won't be told by anybody is that certain things happened on this program when they didn't, because I've literally only just said them and outlined to you the evidence to show you that they didn't happen. But you're not prepared to listen. 2:45.
LBC.
Every household will get help with energy bills this winter. The UK government is giving you an extra £400 towards your bills. For most households, payments are automatic. If you're on a getting more help with your bills with the Energy Price Guarantee. Find out more at gov.uk/help for households today.
In 1,000 yards, turn left. Or is it right? Maybe go... Going round and round. Hang on. Where are we going again?
Clear guidance. You can feel a little lost. But when it comes to taking your pension pot, Money Helper's Pension Wise service will help you get clear about your options. If you're over 50,
Locations across the UK. Our team will support you every step of the way with a medal and glass of bubbly waiting for you at the finish. Invite your friends and family to join you for this unforgettable experience. Search Macmillan Mighty Hikes and sign up today to go the extra mile for people with cancer.
Today's tale begins when the Smith family sat down to enjoy a film. Suddenly they heard the scariest sound.
The Wi-Fi is down.
The family were doomed to wait for a film that wouldn't load.
Save yourself from broadband nightmares. Get BT's unbreakable hybrid broadband backed up by EE, the UK's best network. Search BT Hybrid Broadband. 88% UK availability. 4G connection takes up to 165 seconds. Best for mobile network performance. Verify at ee.co.uk/claims.
Ah, the sweet sound of an SUV on an open road. Alright, but can it handle a muddy road? And what about off-road? The Dacia Duster is one SUV that can. Available as an actual 4x4, it'll take your family for an adventure without taking your wallet for a ride. Time for everything you need and nothing you don't. Dacia Duster. Good thinking. Discover more at dacia.co.uk.
Did your COVID BI claim get refused until the Supreme Court appealed? We believe you qualify for an extra payment. Go to biclaimback.com now. Are rising costs forcing you into unaffordable debt? An individual voluntary arrangement from Credit Fix could help. Write off up to 81% of your unsecured debt with manageable repayments and all interest and charges frozen. Just text debt to 66777. Text debt to 66777 now. Terms apply. May not be suitable for all. Can affect credit rating. Free advice on moneyhelp.org.uk.
for the welcome back on boarders and the new curious river explorers, for the recliners and the fine diners, for the self-explored. Memories, for luxury European river cruises with the reassurance you're in safe hands for which recommended provider. Visit rivieratravel.co.uk or speak to your local travel agent. Riviera Travel, forever curious. Sheila Ferguson on LDC.
Get back to your calls in a few moments on Nicola Sturgeon's resignation. Whatever element of that you want to talk about, whatever occurs to you from it, we will talk about. But before that, Tom Dunn, LBC's reporter, joins us live from Chester, where two 15-year-old school children were charged earlier today with the murder of Brianna Jaye. Tell us more about these charges, Tom.
Well, Sheila, these two teenagers appeared at Chester Magistrates Court this morning. The two hearings lasted only a few minutes each as the two defendants were told their case must be now heard in Crown Court, so they will both appear at Liverpool Crown Court tomorrow morning. Both of the teenagers' parents were present in the courtroom and became emotional when the judge read out the charge sheet. The 15-year-old boy stood in the dock first with long brown hair, wearing a grey tracksuit. The 15-year-old girl, also charged with murder, stood in the dock, also in a grey tracksuit with red hair. Both defendants appeared and only spoke to confirm their name, address and date of birth. And given that they are both 15 years old, they cannot be named publicly for legal reasons. They are both charged with the murder of 16-year-old Brianna Jaye, who was killed in Cultured Linear Park close to Warrington on Saturday. Last night, hundreds of people gathered at candlelit vigils in Liverpool and Bristol to remember Brianna. The 16-year-old was prominent on social media. She had over 65,000 followers on TikTok, and we've seen outpourings of emotional tributes to her from the LGBTQ plus community over the last few days. These people gathered on the steps of St George's Hall in Liverpool and told us why it was important for them to be there.
For taking the time to light a candle and be together as a community in this time and show our respects and collectively.
It's Chelsea and Boston response for some including that looks at the same view and everyone else. The dancing and
Something like this happens, we come together to prove that we are a community.
Events like that organised by members of the transgender community are also planned in the coming days in cities like Manchester, Glasgow, Belfast and London. Donations on a GoFundMe page also been set up for Brianna's family, which said the schoolgirl brought a lot of laughter to those who knew her. That has now currently passed £90,000.
Thank you very much, Tom Dunn. RBC's reporter there from Chester. Let's get back to your calls on Nicola Sturgeon's resignation for the last few minutes. Anyway, after 3, by the way, we're going to move on to talk about Labour. Big announcements today from Keir Starmer, particularly on anti-Semitism, on Jeremy Corbyn's chances of standing as a Labour candidate in the next general election. There aren't any, according to Keir Starmer, so we'll talk more about that and Labour's chances as well. I mean, it still connects to the Scottish announcement today, I think, because as we were saying earlier on, Lewis is called from Glasgow. Hello, Lewis. Do you want to talk about who you'd like to replace Nicola Sturgeon?
I was on the top of obviously it's wasn't just hard this morning. I think Nicola Sturgeon referenced in my speech to national candidates to take over within the party at Holyrood, and I feel that Angus Roberts is a man that really should be floating about when we're discussing this. I think he's got a strong level of leadership in his past. He obviously ran the Westminster route down south, and I think that there's really within the cabinet the connection that he has with foreign leaders in his current role was a great position in my view to be the next First Minister of Scotland. I'm just wondering your view on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's. I also think he's certainly in Scotland he's well known, but I think he's got wider. I mean, often when you go and ask people whether they know politicians, they've never heard of them and don't recognise their faces anyway. I think journalists probably overstate recognition, but I think he's, of all of them, he's the best known, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the SNP myself and with discussions with friends, members, people at university, I feel that Angus Robertson's name that comes up an awful lot. I think when we look at other candidates, I think one of the big names thrown about previously was Kate Forbes.
Yeah.
And I've got nothing against it, but I do think that as a being a relatively new member in terms of the politics role, and obviously not being enough in maternity leave just now, I just don't think that's the right step for the party to take. I don't think it's someone that's, as you say, got as much resume.
Well, I'm told, and I'm afraid I don't know the exact quote, but I'm told she's recently said, possibly even just today, said she's feeling refreshed as she comes to the end of the maternity leave, so that might give you some idea of what she's planning.
I'm sure if she's feeling refreshed and starting to be First Minister, I think it would be something that anyone would be interested in. But for yourselves, do you think that she has that kind of back in mind in terms of recognition that you were talking with Angus Robertson?
And what about the direction of travel for the SNP now? Because it was interesting to hear Professor Sir John Curtis talking about, what options are available to them, or what possibilities are available to them as to what comes next for the SNP. What would you like to see in that sense?
Certainly, obviously, I'd like to see it move towards independence, but I'm not sure whether we're going to see that as rapidly as maybe it's been suggested. I think that there's a lot of issues in Scotland. So there's good things that were done by the SNP to get back to some of the issues that you referenced before with the jobs desk we're talking with the leather, and obviously the teachers' rates. Obviously, there's really go there.
Well, actually, on that question of achievements, I had a text here earlier, which I meant to read out, you prompted me to do it. The baby box, Scottish child payment, free tuition fees, free prescriptions, free bus travel for under 22s and over 60s, free dentistry on the way, the development of a national care service, the list goes on. I mean, that national care service is far from complete, is it? But a huge list of achievements from the First Minister, a progressive government that England can't even hope for.
I completely agree with that. I think that that's what kind of said just about to get to the question which you get to first. Obviously, those
moment of risk for the SNP. Is that why Angus Robertson feels like the right person for you, because he is such an experienced operator politically?
I don't know if maybe risk is the right word, but I think definitely there is multiple pathways that we could go down at this point.
Buy sleeper things if
Yeah,
maybe the budget.
Yes, and it's sort of quite hard to get your head around, because as I said, the majority of their staff have chosen to stay in the city. So many have left, but many have stayed. And talking to the founders, they've got this fabulous headquarters that they opened just a couple of months before the invasion. That headquarters is still going. People are living, they say, comparatively normal lives in Kyiv, obviously not elsewhere in the country. And again, they talked about this Ukrainian spirit, which is, we are going to go to the coffee shop, we are going to go out for drinks with friends, we are going to live, and no one is going to sort of stop us doing that. So their message was really support Ukraine, but also, yes, we're still sort of seizing the day. So it was also poignant that they were talking about how the name of their brand, Sleeper, they didn't realise when they founded it that because it has a double meaning. Not only does it mean sleeper, but also it refers to the horse that no one thinks is going to win, but then does. And of course, there's a sort of unforeseen resonance there. Let's hope with Ukraine and this amazing fight that it is putting up.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. Much desirable. It's not a fashion update, is it? It's about life and everything. Thank you very much to the Times fashion director, Anna Murphy. And if you spot me in a photo in a pair of silky pyjamas with feather bows all over them, it's Anna Murphy's fault. Now I'm joined by Times Radio's very own Callum MacDonald, who'll be in the hot seat with Chloe Tilley after 3 p.m, which is literally in a couple of minutes' time. But I thought that I would actually prey on Callum for some further information about the reverberations following Nicola Sturgeon's resignation this morning, because he has, of course, been watching and listening to everything that's going on while I've just been blabbing for the last 2 hours. Callum.
Hello. You're never just blabbing, Manuel, don't worry.
I'm always just blabbing, Callum. But now it's your turn to blab. Tell me, blab away about Nicola Sturgeon.
Well, what a dramatic day it's been so far, and dramatic days and weeks ahead. I think that's the thing, because the repercussions of this for the SNP, for the Scottish government, and therefore for the Scottish people, are really quite huge. I think two immediate thoughts on this. One is in terms of a replacement for Nicola Sturgeon. It's well advertised that there's been a bit of a lack of succession planning. Notably, when she took over from Alex Salmond, there was no challenge. It was her. It was Nicola Sturgeon was always going to be the one to succeed him. And now we find ourselves in this situation where we're not very sure who it might be. And I think there's an interesting thing in that, because it could indicate a clean break, actually, for the first time from the high-ups in the SNP, who've always been of the same cloth, the Salmonds, the Sturgeons, the Swinneys, these sorts of people have always been quite a close-knit group. So it could actually...
How many of them are actually named after fish, Callum?
It's a
is that a prerequisite? The salmons, the sturgeons, have you got any mackerel in there? A couple of herrings?
Red herrings are all over the place, I think, in the SNP. That's for sure. So I wonder if there'll be a clean run. I wonder if it's a reinvigoration opportunity for the SNP. But always, everything is always overshadowed by independence. And that means that policy and selection of a leader, that is always the first thing on anyone's mind. So that's obviously always the thing to look out for.
In terms of leadership selection, I'd look out for anyone with a fish in their surname, or alluded in their surname. Callum, thank you, but you're going to carry on, I know. Thank you all for listening. Producer was Patrick Campbell. Technical operator was Anna Horner. Back tomorrow at 1. Now it's Chloe Tilley and Callum MacDonald.
Smart speaker. This is Times Radio.
Hello, good afternoon. It is 3 o'clock, and this
including her stance on the gender recognition bill. Her predecessor, Alex Salmond, says the announcement has come as a surprise, and he believes her legacy will be the way she handled public health through multiple lockdowns.
Nicholas' biggest political talent was as a communicator. I mean, she was a superb political communicator, and that was shown up in the pandemic. Where there was pretty clear messaging from Scotland and much less clear messaging from Downing Street.
John Boothman, the Sunday Times political correspondent in Scotland, was at Mrs Sturgeon's press conference earlier today. He explains her thinking behind the decision to step down.
You made the point that she's 52 years old, nearly 53, that she became a parliamentarian in Scotland when she was 29. She became a government minister at 37. She spent 8 years as Deputy First Minister and over 8 years as First Minister. So, to be honest, I think the main message from what she was saying is she kind of just had enough.
Meanwhile, opposition parties have been reacting. Douglas Ross, for the Scottish Conservatives, paid tribute and said the SNP needs to focus on Scottish people's real priorities. And despite disagreeing with Mrs Sturgeon on many issues, Rishi Sunak and his predecessor Theresa May both thanked her for her long service. In other news this afternoon, teachers in England will go on strike later this month after talks with the government in a bid to avert industrial action failed. The National Education Union says the discussions with the Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, about pay were disappointing. Kevin Courtney is the union's Joint General Secretary.
There's been no movement at all on this year's pay from that meeting, nor any discussion about numbers on next year's pay. So there's nothing in it that could persuade us not to go ahead with the action that we've got scheduled for the week after half term, 20th of February, 1st of March, 2nd of March.
The murderer, who was never revealed where he hid his wife's body, has been released from jail. Russell Causley was originally freed from prison in 2020 after serving more than 23 years behind bars for killing Carol Packman in 1985, but he was sent back to jail for breaching his licence conditions. Then last month, the parole board ruled that he was suitable to be released again. 19 days after Mum Nicola Bully went missing, police still believe no third parties involved. The 45-year-old was last seen walking her dog near the River Wyre in Lancashire on the 27th of January. Assistant Chief Constable Peter Lawson has been updating reporters.
It is important for me to stress that the investigation continues, it is ongoing. We are meticulously reviewing all information gathered from members of Nicola's family, public, CCTV, dashcam, and other digital devices today.
An IT glitch at Lufthansa has stranded passengers and forced more than 300 flights at Germany's busiest airport to be cancelled or delayed. The airlines are blaming botched railway engineering works which damaged broadband cables. Online there are photos and videos from several German airports showing thousands of passengers waiting to be checked in. And French fashion brand Louis Vuitton has named singer Pharrell Williams as its new menswear creative director. The French fashion brand described him as a visionary whose creative universes expand from music to art and to fashion. This afternoon we'll see a band of rain sweeping eastwards, weakening as it does so. The southeast will remain bright for what's left of the afternoon, and far north and northwest will see western showers. This evening will become drier and clearer. Showers will come in the northwest. Our top sports story this hour, it's been reported that Iranian-American billionaire John Najafi is preparing a group of investors to launch a takeover bid for Tottenham. Najafi, who was chair of MSP Sports Capital, is working with a consortium to prepare the structure of the £3.1 billion bid, and the group's expected to approach Spurs owner Joe Lewis and chairman Daniel Levy in the coming weeks. Najafi
on DAB digital radio, on the Free Times Radio app, and via your smart speaker.
Afternoons on Times Radio with Oni, the travel experts you can trust. Voted the #1 luxury holiday company, My Times readers.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for being with us on Times Radio. Jane and Fee still off on their holidays, so Chloe Tilly
Sturgeon. Hopefully you've been with us on Times Radio throughout today, because on days like today, as with any day, but particularly days like today, there is nowhere else you need to be to get the best coverage of the drama of what is going on. And we'll be continuing to reflect on Uncle Sturgeon's resignation throughout this afternoon. Politics is brutal, she said. She's been wrestling with this question of her future for several weeks, but she knows in her head and her heart that it's time to go. So she's announced her resignation today. Throughout this afternoon, we want to dig into what happens now. What happens now for the Scottish Government in their policy agenda? What are they driving at now? For the SNP, is it still all about independence? I mean, it always is, so that doesn't go away. When you dig into her reasons for resignation, what's the next leader going to inherit? I think that's a really important question. We've been talking a lot about the gender reform, which has been a real sticking point, a real misstep as well, actually, for a First Minister who was so disciplined during her more than 8 years in office. So lots of these things continue for the next leader. What she was saying in her resignation speech as well earlier about the division and the divisive debate, and also her as a lightning rod for that debate as well.
I was really struck by that. In her resignation speech, that was the thing that really, struck with me. It was the fact that she was talking about people have made up their mind about me, and that clouds any debate that we have, because people will decide to fight essentially against me rather than maybe an issue that I back. And I wonder, is that linked to Nicola Sturgeon being on the scene for so long? I mean, she's been there, First Minister for
8 years as First Minister.
About 7 years as deputy. She's been around a very long time. About 7 years as deputy. She's been around a very long time. Is it because she's a woman? Is it because she actually is just a divisive character? Because independence is, running through her veins? Does that, by its very nature, mean that people will feel very strongly towards her? Or is it actually that she's made some pretty bad steps in recent weeks? Gender recognition bill, reform bill, all of that has really upset some people. And I'd be interested to know, irrespective of Nicola Sturgeon's politics, do you feel that this is a loss to politics in general? As a figure, did you respect her? Did you see her as a great leader? Or actually, do you think this is a good, fresh start? Your thoughts, welcome, 8722, start your message with the Times. You can email us, jane@times.radio, because we're still hacked into their email accounts. They still don't know. So we're talking lots about Nicola Sturgeon, but other things we're going to be talking about as well. A big interview after 3:30 this afternoon is with an award-winning director. He started out as a Bollywood actor. He's got a new film coming out. You may well have seen all of the pictures over the tabloids in recent days of Lily James in that beautiful green dress at the premiere of What's Love Got to Do with It. Interesting film. It is a film essentially about an arranged marriage between a very westernised man whose parents are culturally conservative, from Pakistan, born in Pakistan, had an arranged marriage in a small village, but he is a British man living as a consultant in London, got a very vibrant life, but is having an arranged marriage, or as he calls it, an assisted marriage. And it kind of looks at the challenges, the difficulties, and just kind of how it is navigated. Really interesting. So we'll be talking to him after 3:30 this afternoon.
Do stay with us to be part of the programme as well. Get in touch, keep in touch, offer your analysis on all that we're talking about this afternoon. Join the conversations that were happening. Let's begin then with the resignation of Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, who says she will stand down after more than 8 years leading the Scottish Government. Here is